Hello, and welcome to the Urban Dharma NC podcast. In this second part of a series, Dorje Lopon Dr. Hun Lye teaches about the songs of Milarepa, the 11th century Tibetan saint who reached the ultimate state of awakening. The presentation of these profound songs is integrated with teachings on the Guruyoga of Milarepa sadhana, in order to introduce a more contemplative and experience-based approach to practicing this liturgy. Urban Dharma is a Buddhist temple in the heart of Asheville, North Carolina. We are supported by your generosity and by our online store, TibetanSpirit.com. To learn more about us, come visit our temple in person, or look us up online at udharmanc.com. Thanks for listening.
After the two bodhicittas, then now the meditation to turn away from the distractions of samsara is the next section. So now, instead of everyone reading that, I want you to not read that. Don't read that. Instead, I'm going to read. You listen and contemplate, rather than, do the reading version of chanting, which is how it would normally be done. So rather, just sit comfortably, close your eyes if you want to, and just listen. Listen to the instructions. It's even better if you listen to it and imagine, not me, but Milarepa saying this to you. Yes?
Could we wait a couple of minutes while I go use the restroom?
Sure. Take your time. Don't rush.
Well, I'm not going to think all day.
Well, I won't wait all day. Well, questions. Good. Questions or comments? Yes, Rich.
Is the Milarepa, is the Guru...
Thank you for coming.
Oh, yes, thank you.
It's the distance.
Very happy to be here. Yes. Is the Guruyoga of Milarepa, is that the primary Guruyoga that's practiced in Drikung Kagyu?
No.
No.
No. So the question was, in case people out there didn't hear, is the Guruyoga of Milarepa the main Guruyoga practice in Drikung Kagyu? No, it's not. On a daily basis in our main monastery in India, every morning the whole assembly gathers to do the Chetsang Guruyoga. Yeah, the founder of our lineage.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would also say the main one for Karma Kagyu would be the Karma Pakshi or the 16 Karmapa Guruyoga.
Yes.
Yeah. But Milarepa Guruyoga, all the Kagyu lineage have their version.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But it's not done so much as a daily. The one that's done daily is usually what's most directly connected to each of the Kagyu lineage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Identity. Mm-hmm. Now we'll have to wait for Jess. Oh, and Milarepa had to wait. And wait, and wait, and wait. So this is what we're training too. We have to wait. Just because you want it. Again, gurus with guts. Just because you want it doesn't mean that, it's good for them to give it. Yes.
So just to follow up then, what was your thinking in prescribing this particular medicine for us, our Sangha, here at the Milarepa Guru Yoga? Is there, each sadhana has a certain, has a certain power or effect to it. And so in this case, this particular sadhana, at this particular time, what was your thinking as far as presenting this teaching at this time?
So what's my thinking in introducing, in presenting the sadhana and this set of teachings on Milarepa at this time? I would, like to be able to say, I saw the dark times coming, and we're all feeling like Milarepa, resentment, anger, and guilt, No. I don't have that kind of ability. But if something is at work, I also believe, there might be something bigger than all of us, definitely bigger than me. When this was planned, none of Tuesday was planned this way. Yes. It was planned differently, right? We all have our plans on what Tuesday elections is going to be, including me. I had my plans, and I was sure, my plans are going to work out. Milarepa too, it was going to work out, and then reality unfolded.
So this is where you're describing the particular importance of devotion.
Yes.
Seems.
Right, exactly. Devotion. And when you're devoted to, and I believe that I've seen that many times, right? In my own life, in my own practice, and then in the context of, starting this thing, this burden or this liberation, however you want to look at it, urban Dharma, it's devotion, And then when you have devotion, no matter what, you keep moving, and things kind of open up in a very strange way that is always timely. That is always timely. But timely or not also depends not just me blabbering away, but you making the time and say, I'm turning up. Otherwise, there are no teachers and no teachings if there are no students. The interdependence of the three has to come together. We're not a God-based system, meaning single cause believers. Although we behave like we are single cause types of people, something kind of special, extraordinary, miraculous happens. I don't know if you remember, there's some strange photo that was taken when Gajeren Rinpoche was here. This object in front of him kind of turned into a 3D lotus. Okay? So of course you could get a photography expert to analyze, to say, well, the light was coming this way and this was coming this way and then this happened. But then it's in the shape of a lotus, not in the shape of a cat. And the lotus was directly related to what Rinpoche was talking about at that point. Right? All of that. Then of course, our reaction to that is, wow, Rinpoche is so powerful, so great. But when we showed it to Rinpoche, Rinpoche said, this is the interdependence between the devotion of the audience, my devotion to teaching you, and all the other conditions that came together. So we are united in this. He's not being humble. Of course he is humble too. But if you think it's just words of humility, you're missing, right, the key point of Buddha's teachings on interdependence. So interdependently arising, interdependently ceasing. So the interdependence of things gives rise to both positive and negative conditions. Right? The negative conditions that we perceive in the aftermath of Tuesday, for some of us, not for all of us, even for Dharma practicing people, I think we're too narrow if we think, that only our position makes sense from the Dharma perspective. It's complicated. I don't want to, there's not the time to get into that, right? But just to say, that what we perceive to be negative, it's an interdependence of causes and conditions. We didn't get here suddenly. What happened is the rug was pulled from under. What happened, for me at least, I know I'm not going to talk about it, but it's hard not to talk about it. More than anything, I think for me, I cannot speak for other people. It's, what? Impermanence? What do you mean? What? Unsure? What do you mean? That, I think, is causing me more stress than, who will be harmed, who will be hurt, as a result of this. It's more that my plans did not pan out when I was so sure. I think many of us, even if this is not the main point, that we're suffering now, and some of you have maybe more bodhicitta than I do, but a big part of it is we never took Buddha's teachings on uncertainty, which is what impermanence means on a felt level. But the word impermanence is kind of objectively describing what is, right? But as a subjective experience is uncertainty. In the Thai tradition, translates it as uncertainty. Trungpa Rinpoche, in his brilliance, translates it as groundlessness. You think there is this secure ground that you could always stand on, when in reality it's groundless. So one famous quote from him is, the bad news is you suddenly discover that you're falling and you don't have a parachute. Right? When we discover that we are falling, in some moments, right, maybe exhilaration, that's when samsara is working out for you. So we're exhilarated. Ooh, right? I've never done skydiving, but I can imagine, right? Ooh, what, But then you and look up and go, wait, what happened to the parachute? And now that's going on for us, many of us. Oh shit, right? Oh bleep, where the hell is the parachute? Then panic. Right? So Trungpa Rinpoche says, the bad news is you suddenly find that you're falling and dang, the parachute is not there. He says, but the good news is there is no ground. There is no ground as an objective fact. Impermanence. Impermanence means everything changes. Subjectively is living with uncertainty and relaxing into that uncertainty. That is really hard. That has been hard. Will continue to be hard. But that's what we have to get. If we don't get that, none of these other teachings is going to really mean anything. Whatever fancy techniques that you meditate on, and do 6 yogas, 7 yogas, 9 yogas, whatever, pointless, useless. So now page 3. Now as I suggested, so you just listen. If you can imagine, if it is helpful to you, to imagine Milarepa reminding us these words, that's even more powerful. Alas, now that this body, which is difficult to obtain and easy to destroy, has been found, practice the path to permanent happiness. The compounded and impermanent is like a dewdrop on the tip of a blade of grass. Endeavor in realizing the essential meaning. Since cause and effect is a natural condition of phenomena, abide in this unmistaken fact and cherish adopting what's virtuous and discarding what's harmful. To uproot the many faults of the 3 realms of existence, stir samsara from its very depths. Agitate samsara. Don't be misled by samsara. Stir it up, agitate it, so that we can see clearly. Without first having a guru, even the name Buddha does not exist. Therefore, we now meditate on the Guruyoga of the great cotton-clad Venerable One. These are called mind reversals, to reverse the mind, to turn the mind away from the distractions of samsara. There's mind reversals also suggest that there is the mind, there is the innate nature of the mind that we have lost because of being misled or attracted to the glitter of samsara. So here it says, stir up samsara. Right? And now samsara is stirred up. It's not like, the mess just was produced. It's just under the surface. Yeah, on Thursday, we had someone joining us that said, she's African American, and she said, "This is nothing new to my community. This is nothing new to my community." I think, her community is less shocked by the rest of us who thinks samsara is fixed now. And until, right, Tuesday at about 10 p.m., like, oh crap, it's samsara. So when it says, stir samsara, it means that. Muck, look at the muck. Because if you don't see that, then your mind is constantly looking for happiness in all the wrong places. The next part of this sadhana involves making an offering to all the local powers and entities that for whatever reason might not be comfortable, might not like that we're here talking about Milarepa. And we can learn from this, that even when you are doing what you think to be really good, there are other beings, for whatever reasons, just find it really annoying. And they just disagree. So here it says, you take this, you take this offering, and please go. Interestingly, in this part too, so they say, first is the peaceful means, right, of, saying to them, we mean you no harm. We're working on the good of all. We mean you no harm, but we understand you don't like this. We understand that you're annoyed. You might be annoyed. So take this offering. Yeah. But interestingly, here it doesn't stop there. There's also a part in this section that says, okay, now for the rest of you, that's not going to be reasonable. If you don't leave, it says, your heads will be split into 100 pieces. Now, this is not literally splitting even, spirits' heads into 100 pieces. Yeah, this is saying, stay at your own risk, because these teachings, these practices, will cause your head to explode. So maybe instead of putting ads like, come and be inspired, we should put, our flyers will say, come at your own risk, It'll cause your head to explode. Yeah, it'll cause your head to explode. And that is very messy. Especially the cleanup on aisle 4. And then after that, we say we visualize, a protective circle around us. And they say, the greatest protective circle, or chakra means circle, is bodhicitta. That's the only way to ultimately get rid of all of our enemies. Turn them into Buddhas. Turn all of our enemies into Buddhas. Right? Many of you have heard my favorite thing of like the Buddhist equivalent. If within Buddhist cultures, the equivalent of telling someone to go to hell is, may you become Buddha. Right? The English expression is based on a particular theological understanding that when people go to hell, they'll never come back again. So they will never trouble you again. But in the Buddhist universe, telling someone to go to hell only means they're going to come back even more pissed off. And then you'll be in even bigger trouble. So the only way to get rid of that which you don't like is to work on helping them become Buddhists. So again, you need not really, I will tell you where, because this is about visualization, so it's easier if I just read it and you try to imagine. If you can imagine, if you cannot, just reflect on the meaning of this section of the practice. Instantaneously I am Heruka, greenish blue with one face and two arms, embraced by the red lady who holds a knife and skull cup. This is the co-emergent primordial body, vividly present. Om Kandaro He Hong Hong Pe Om Swa Bhava Shuddha Sawa Dhamma Swa Bhava Shuddho Hang. Within emptiness arise wind, fire, and a hearth of skulls. Upon it is a pot containing elixir of Hong, Om, Kam, and Tum, and 5 meats of Bum, Lum, Mum, Bum, and Tum. Wind blows and ignites the fire. The ingredients become pure when they melt and boil. The cover is a moon disk with Hong, Ah, Om. Light rays emanate, summoning elixirs. Then the 3 letters and moon dissolve into light, transforming into an ocean of primordial wisdom. Om Ah Hong Ha Ho Hri. Om Ah Hong Ha Ho Hri. Om Ah Hong Ha Ho Hri. Padme, can you come and hold this? Yeah, and then turn around and look that way. And then when I tap you, then you can take it to the back door. Yeah, just right outside the door. You know where to put it, and bring the plate back. Thank you. Yeah, just wait. Pem, pem. At the bottom of page 5, together we can recite this if you want. If you don't, then don't, no need. If you want, you can join us. Pem, pem, om, kaka, kahi, kahi, sarva, yaksha, rakshaksha, Buddha preta pisacha ummada apasmara dhaka dakinya dhaya imang baleng krihantu samaya rakshantu mama sarva siddhim prajantu yataivam yateshtam bunjata pibata jigrata mati kramata mama sarva karataya satshuka vishuddhaya sahayaka bhavantu hong hong pe pe swaha pem pem om kakakahi kahi sarva yaksha rakshasha Buddha preta pisacha ummada apasmara daka dakinya dhaya imam baleng krihantu samayang rakshantu mama sarva siddhing prajantu yataivam yateshtam bunjata pipata jigrata mati kramata mama sarva karataya satshuka vishuddhaya sahayaka bhavantu hong hong pe pe swaha pem pem om kakakahi kahi sarva yaksha rakshaksha buddha preta pisacha ummanda apasmara dhaka dakinya dhaya imam balengrihantu samayang rakshantu mama sarva siddhim prajantu yataivam yateshtam punjata pibata jitkrata mati kramata mama sarva karataya satshuka vishuddhaya sahayaka bhavantu hong hong pe pe so. So the next part here is the sometimes called wrathful, sometimes called forceful removal of obstacles. And like I said, ultimately, external obstacles are summoned here by internal obstacles. So to whatever degree we have strong afflictive emotions, particularly the outward moving harmful afflictive emotions, whether it's desire, wanting to possess that which we don't have a right to possess, wanting to get rid, wanting to get rid of what we detest, not accepting what is, and then when what is presents itself and we hate it, we have resentment, all these things is what summons obstacles. And so here is the forceful pushing of obstacles, reversing these obstacles with. So again, you can meditate here as I say the words for this removal. So Really think about your internal, whatever internal obstacles you think and pray that might prevent you from successfully, from effectively absorbing these teachings. Really, that's the internal obstacles. May that be removed before we go further into these teachings. May they be removed, these obstacles. All those who advocate evil and thus have no permission to listen to or look at these rituals of the profound mantra must now leave. If you fail to follow this command, your heads will be split into 100 pieces with the blazing vajra-songs. Om sumbani sumba hong hong pe om grena grena hong hong pe om grena pa Then the top of page 7, this is just a very simple wheel of protection, which is bodhicitta. Om vajra-rasha rasha hong 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 pe. So, of course, at the beginning we already meditated on bodhicitta. Now it's just a reminder that the only way to ultimately meaningfully remove what we consider to be obstacles is through bodhicitta, devotion, dedication to fulfilling bodhicitta. So together, let's do the refuge and bodhicitta prayers on page 8. I and all other migratory beings without exception take refuge until the state of enlightenment in Venerable Shepa Dorje, the embodiment of the excellent three and the three roots. I and all other migratory beings without exception take refuge until the state of enlightenment in Venerable Shepa Dorje, the embodiment of the excellent three and the three roots. I and all other migratory beings without exception take refuge until the state of enlightenment in Venerable Shepa Dorje, the embodiment of the excellent three and the three roots. For the sake of mother sentient beings equal to the infinity of space, becoming liberated from the ocean of samsara, I vow to accomplish the supreme state of Shepa Dorje. For the sake of mother sentient beings
equal to the infinity of space, becoming
liberated from the ocean of samsara,
I vow to accomplish the supreme state of Shepa Dorje.
For the sake of mother sentient beings equal to the infinity of space, becoming liberated from the ocean of samsara, I vow to accomplish the supreme state of Shepa Dorje. Now let's gather this 7-branch prayer on page 9 and 10 and repeat that together. One time. Homage to your mind in which I have divided faith as being essentially one with the innate self-aware Dharmakaya. I offer you the all-pervasive Lord of the Pure Lands, clouds of Samantabhadra's offerings, actual and imagined. All sins, downfalls, and non-virtues accumulated since beginningless time, I confess them all from my heart with profound guilt and remorse. I rejoice in all the righteous deeds of others and in their virtuous activities now and forever. May the sound of Dharma, the stainless elixir, resound in accordance with the dispositions of limitless sentient beings. On the throne of compassion, may the glorious Rupakaya that benefit others sit firmly cross-legged, never untying the vajra knot. I dedicate the virtues accumulated in the 3 times and the innate virtue to the attainment of supreme enlightenment without exception. So these are the 7 branches, the 7 limbs. So the first limb is the limb of paying homage. And the second limb is the limb or the part of making offerings. Paying homage with body, speech, and mind. Making all the offerings. Then the third is to expose. The common word used to translate this is confession or repentance. But the more literal meaning is to expose. What to expose? We expose. We don't hide anymore from ourselves and from other people. The negative activities, the patterns of behavior that lead us to suffering, this confusion. So all sins, downfalls, and non-virtues, I confess them. But more literally, it's I expose them. I don't hide them. Then the fourth limb is to rejoice in the good that beings are engaged in. Rejoiced in all the virtue accumulated far and near by self and other. We rejoice in that. And then the fifth is the prayer, the request that all awakened beings continue to teach and to guide all beings everywhere, right? No matter where they are, especially in the midst where the confusion is strongest and thickest and most difficult. Do not, pray that the awakened ones do not abandon them. It's the next one. Do not pass into nirvana. We say that. But really, it's like, these dark places is where the Dharma is needed most. Now, particularly, is when the Dharma is needed most. And what are we willing to do to make that happen, to ensure that happens? That's what we have to ask, right? Later, Milarepa says, prayers are useless if your actions don't match your prayers. We'll look at that. Then finally, dedicating to all beings, dedicating to the happiness of all beings. These are the 7 branches. Padme, could you take the incense outside? We are sufficiently blessed. Now we should bless people outside. Thank you. Yes, the next part for this sadhana is the self-generation. Here you appear in the form of Heruka, which is Chakasamara with Vajavarahi in union, and then in front of you, Milarepa appears. But that will come later. Now, the first song of the collection that I've selected for this weekend and also upcoming weekends.
Thank you for listening to the Urban Dharma NC podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, we hope you'll consider supporting our mission to foster a deeper understanding of the teachings of the Buddha, to build meaningful community, and to integrate contemplative teachings into everyday life. We invite you to make a donation online at udharmanc.com or make a purchase at our store, tibetanspirit.com. Thank you. May all beings benefit.